Wicked is basically Dune, but for like horribly traumatized theater kids. And that's beautiful. Hi, my name is Zach, and I'm going to be doing a full recap of the movie Wicked, Part 1. Yeah, they kind of slipped that Part 1 in like Ethan Slater slipped at the Wicked premiere. Granted, I love that video of Ethan Slater slipping at the Wicked premiere. It is so fucking stupid. Love you though, Ethan. Anyways, I will be doing a full recap of the movie from beginning to end, but I do think we need to introduce the actors of this movie. So here we go. First off, we've got Cynthia Erivo from Chewing Gum, the TV show, and The Color Purple, and she is playing Elphaba. Then we've got the indie actress Ariola Grimpley from Victorious playing Galinda. And then we have my hottest man of 2024, Johnathan Bailey playing Fiyero. And then we have Michelle Yeoh playing Madame Morrible. And then we've got Jeff Goldblum playing the Wizard. And then we've got Marissa Bode playing Nessa. And we've finally got Ethan Slater playing Bach. Now that we've got the entire cast laid out, let's get on with this little movie recap.
That's my life.
This movie opens up with Galinda the Good Witch announcing the death of the Wicked Witch of the West, which she does it in a way that kind of reminds me of the BBC announcing the death of Queen Elizabeth II. And on top of that, we get a zoomed in shot of the liquefied remains of the Wicked Witch of the West. Cut to Munchkinland, and we see a bunch of Ethan Slater variants actually celebrating the death of the Wicked Witch of the West. And they're celebrating in a way that is just like the Scottish when Margaret Thatcher created the world's first public toilet. This is then interrupted by Galinda the Good Witch floating down in a nice currenty bubble, singing about the Wicked Witch of the West, but in like a nice way, which is a little bit weird. We're all like, well, wasn't she wicked?
Get in the water!
And then one of the Munchkins actually interrupts Galinda the Good Witch with the song No One Mourns the Wicked. This song, so good. Did not know I needed Ariola Grimpley singing on a rock opera. And in the middle of the song, we get a flashback back to the pre-birth story of the Wicked Witch of the West, because Galinda is trying to explain whether or not you are born wicked or if wickedness is thrust upon you. And in this flashback, we get to meet the mother and father of the Wicked Witch of the West. And I just have to say right now, the father is evil, despicable, disgusting. Like, okay, you're a freak. You're a freak and you don't deserve rights. You're a freak and actually you should go to prison. But the mother, on the other hand, well, she's a diva. Because that woman, she played Mariah Reynolds from Hamilton on the West End. So you already know that she's diva certified. But anyways, the father ends up leaving and the mother stays home. But then there's a knock on the door and she opens it up. And there's a Willy Wonka variant up there and he's like, hey, you wanna And leading up to Pound Town, Willy Wonka starts shaking around this green vial being like, hey, why don't you drink my green elixir? Which is like, oh my god. Are you going to roofie her? But we know that this green elixir is quite important because, well, there's a green witch that comes after this. So this man clearly drugged her, making her give birth to a green baby, which has weirdly magical powers. And along with that, we don't get to see Willy Wonka's face. No. But we do get to hear his singing, and it is awfully auto-tuned and is sounding a little bit too similar to the auto-tune that is used on Jeff Goldblum. And Jeff Goldblum plays the Wizard. Then we cut to Mariah Reynolds actually getting ready to debut her baby to the world, alongside the whole cast of Paddington 2, as her midwives at that, which is really weird because when I was watching the Broadway musical, I was looking at those people being like, oh no, they're furries. No, they're not furries. They're literally supposed to be playing animals. What? But anyways, the baby gets debuted and everyone's gagged that it's green. Everyone's like, oh my god, it's green. And they're freaking out. And I'm like, girl, we should not be freaking out about that. You literally have a talking bear. What are we talking about? But anyways, as they're gagging over it, they're making a whole ruckus. And then the baby starts activating her magic and it throws all the utensils up to the ceiling. And the father's like, get her out of my sight. And so Paddington 2's mother comes up and is like, hey, I'll take the baby and I'll raise her. At least one diva in this house is normal and nice. Because fuck is the father literally getting rid of his baby? Fast forward a couple years and Elphaba is now a tween and she's got a younger sister named Nessa who is in a wheelchair. And she's telling Nessa a story about the wizard and how the wizard actually grants wishes to anyone he offers them to. So the wizard sounds pretty nice. So maybe we all want to key out in Emerald City and meet the wizard because he sounds like a great guy, right? Elphaba? Cut back to Galinda and the Munchkins are now wheeling in a Macy's Day Parade statue of Elphaba to light on fire in the middle of Munchkinland. This is not Burning Man, get classier. Galinda then starts getting ready to leave and all of a sudden she's interrupted by another Munchkin. Can these Munchkins just go away? And they're like, hey, I heard you were friends with the Wicked Witch of the West. And Galinda's like, well, yes.
Well, yes.
Well, sorta, kinda.
Well, sorta, kinda.
We went to school together. Our paths did cross at Shiz. Shiz? Are we joking? Are we joking making that a school name? That sounds like a combination of and piss, or even worse, and jizz. I just shizzed myself. Oh no, I'm shizzing. Oh no, I'm shizzing on the floor.
Hi, everybody.
Are you Jari King sister? But anyways, we get a flashback of Elphaba and Galinda's time at Shiz, starting now. Here we follow Galinda actually arriving at Shiz on a boat filled with pink Barbie suitcases. She's giving very much rich girl Barbie core, which is, I mean, kind of iconic. Good for her, I guess. And so she steps off the boat and says goodbye to her mother and father and says hello to a life of vaping and debauchery like every other college freshman.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, R, J, F, I, M, N, P, Q, R, X, I, M, N, P.
Alright. We then get jump scared by Bach, who is a munchkin from Munchkinland who is very obsessed with Galinda. And Galinda's like, I don't know you. And he's like, well, yeah, you don't know me, but I'm very familiar with you. And his intense obsession with Galinda leads to so many stupid things happening. And on top of that, I think that obsession leads to him being one of the most wicked characters of the movie. And that is like no joke. Like, I do think he's an evil kind of guy, and he's a bitch. And I'm sorry, Ethan Slater, that they literally took your look and based every munchkin off of you. Cut to the most curnty black demonias stepping foot onto Shiz campus. And then we get to see, oh, it's Elphaba. Elphaba is serving goth baddie vibes. Like, she would have slayed at a performing arts college. Instead, she has to go to this Brigham Young adjacent university. What the are we talking about?
What's the craziest thing that's happened to you at BYU?
I shook a bed for soaking.
And as Elphaba ends up walking towards Galinda, everyone at Shiz is staring at her, as if she's like a star of Teen Mom. Girl, she's just green. Shut the fuck up. Galinda eventually spots Elphaba and is like, hey, I'm actually planning on studying sorcery so we can fix whatever is happening with your skin because it's not looking too normal. And Elphaba's like, you don't even know if I want to change my skin, number one. And number two, you don't even have those magical powers, so who are you to offer that? You're a flop. Then Elphaba's father once again tells her to stop making herself the center of attention and wheels over Nessa Rose. And Nessa Rose is like, wow, I can't wait to start my new life at Shiz. This is going to be great. This is going to be the best time of my life. And on top of that, Elphaba's father actually gives Nessa a pair of silver shoes. Now, these silver shoes look oddly familiar because we do know that they're eventually given to a Midwestern teenager. And then it is revealed that Nessa is actually the one going to university and not the older sister Elphaba, which is like, okay, cool. Glad to see that she's still being neglected. But then on top of that, Nessa's like, I just can't wait to start my new life. You're saying that to Elphaba, who literally gets to sit inside all day. What are you talking about, girl? You need to shut your mouth and learn your privilege. Because Nessa, let me just tell you, I can't wait for that Midwestern townhome to crush you.
I crush the Nessa.
Nessa eventually leaves for orientation, and their father actually forces Elphaba to stay at school and watch over Nessa during orientation. Orientation eventually begins, and we get to meet Madame Morrible, who's a sorcery teacher, but only if there's like a talented sorceress in the student body. So she's not really a teacher, but she will teach if there's a magical girl.
She was a fairy.
Cut to Nessa actually being harassed by one of the professors at Shiz University, who eventually takes her away from Elphaba, which Elphaba's like, no, that's not happening. Give her back. And so she uses her magic, makes Nessa fly in the air, and then slams her on the floor, which is like, Elphaba, that was attempted murder. And also this clip of Nessa flying in the air is like, well, it's good. It's so funny. Anyways, the attempted murder happens. Everyone at Shiz is gagged. Everyone's like, oh, wow. So we have a magical murder on the scene. But then Madame Morrible's like, oh, well, that's a diva. That's a diva who can use magic that I can use. So Madame Morrible steps down and is like, hey, guys, sorry, that was me. I'll take the blame. I used my magic because you have to expect the unexpected at Shiz. Yes, yes. And she looks over Elphaba and is like, hey, do you go to this school? And Elphaba's like, no, I don't. And Morrible's like, well, you should. Who wants to share a room with Elphaba? And Galinda accidentally raises her hand, volunteering herself to share a room with Elphaba, which is, well, it's devastating for a rich girl like her.
At this point, crack is not looking that bad.
And on top of that, Madame Morrible's like, you there, come with me. And Galinda's like, oh, it's gonna be me. And then she's like, no, not you. The green one. Come over here. I want you, greenie. So we cut to Elphaba actually walking around with Madame Morrible, and Madame Morrible's like, you got a real talent there. We could get you doing magic shows at Vegas very soon. But instead, I'm going to contact the wizard. And on top of that, I'm going to start teaching you with private lessons because you're a diva. And Elphaba's like, whoa, this is crazy because I never expected this. And then she starts singing The Wizard and I. This song is sung so well by Cynthia Erivo. She is so good. In the song, we get to see a happier side of Elphaba, who's like, if I get to meet the wizard, I finally will be respected, people will like me, and my life will be better. Maybe he'll even change my skin. girl, don't get rid of the green. The green is Kernty. You literally are giving Brat. You're giving Poison Ivy. Poison Ivy is Kernty. She's beautiful. Why don't you want to give that? But anyways, we are also jump scared with a Jeff Goldblum Mount Rushmore statue inside of a cave on the Shiz campus, which I just have to say, why is there a statue of the wizard on campus? Isn't his identity meant to be kept secret? I'm a little bit confused. What's going on with that? Unless like I missed like a big plot change, because I thought that he was meant to be kept secret. Maybe I'm just stupid. Cut to Elphaba entering her shared room with Galinda, which is covered in pink Barbie suitcases. And Elphaba's like, no, I can't deal with this Barbie shit. I am pure goth baddie vibes. And Galinda's like, well, I have a lot of stuff. And I thought I was going to get a private suite. And now I have to share with you. But I know I'm such a good roommate because I didn't take your bed. And on top of that, Galinda's like, and for keeping your bed there, how about you tell me how you use your magic? And Elphaba's like, no, I'm pissed. And Galinda keeps on badgering to the point where Elphaba gets so pissed that she slams the glass door shut with her magic, shattering it. Oh, that gag. Cut to the most lesbian song ever being played. Even more lesbian than JoJo Siwa's I Like the Way You Grind on My Bean.
Like the way you grind on my bean.
Yes, we're playing What Is This Feeling? Like, if not gay, then why say, I felt it the moment I laid eyes on you? That's gay. Like, does it have a name? It's not loathing, it's lesbianism. Pack it up, you're girl kissers.
And I am actually an expert on all matters that are fake and gay.
Cut to history class where we get to meet the goat professor, who actually has a speech impediment and cannot pronounce Galinda's name right, but Galinda is racist against animals. So she's like, well, if you can't pronounce my name right, it's your problem, because every other teacher can. And then Elphaba comes to the safety of the goat and is like, well, goats have different vocal mechanisms, so shut up. And the goat also reveals that he's the last animal professor teaching at university because the animals have been losing their rights ever since the Great Drought of Oz. And the reason why they've been losing their rights is because the people of Oz have needed a scapegoat for this issue, which is, well, it doesn't really sound too different from what's happening right now, does it, guys? Politics is kind of crazy. Maybe Wicked is a political movie, but I won't get into that because that's for more intellectual YouTubers to dive into. Anyways, the goat then flips over the chalkboard and it reads, animals should be seen, not heard. Oh, which one of you clan members in this classroom decided to write that on the board? Yeah, animal racism isn't cute. Yeah. And after seeing this, the goat cancels class and Elphaba stays back to comfort him because she's the only one in this school who has an ounce of empathy towards the animals. And this school is so BYU coded, it is, well, it's sad. Like, what the f***? It's basically Liberty University over here. Cut to Madame Morrible telling Elphaba how to use her magic. And Madame Morrible's like, wait, listen to me. Eyes shut, toes clenched, farts. She didn't actually say that, but it was along the lines of that, and it doesn't really help. Elphaba's like, well, that's not helping me use my magic. So she's like, well, I do remember you telling me whenever you get mad, your magical powers activate. So Madame Morrible pisses Elphaba off, and Elphaba actually uses her magic. So my solution for Elphaba's magical erectile dysfunction is that she should get AirPods and listen to alpha male podcasters whenever she wants to level a city, because that shit will get anyone pissed.
If you threw me into a cage full of lions, I wouldn't just walk out unarmed. I'd come out f***ing pregnant.
Cut to Elphaba actually following the goat to a cottage where he's discussing the future of the animal rights in Oz. And some of the animals there are like, hey, I'm gonna leave. Other ones are planning on staying, but they all come to the conclusion that animals are also losing their voice. And they don't really know why the animals are losing their voices, but they are. So that's quite horrifying. But eventually Elphaba ends up leaving and she gets trampled by a horse. But I know you guys are worried. That person who's actually riding that horse is a top 10 baddie of Oz. Yes, it's Fiero. It's Johnathan Bailey. So she's not too mad about it. She's like, okay, baddie detected. I'm not going to be too pissed. I'm going to put on my serve card and act nonchalant. And he's like, all right, I like this. So they start a little bit of a weird flirty vibe, but she leaves before anything gets too serious. And he's like, all right, that's a baddie. I'm going to keep my eye on her. And then we cut to the next morning where we find out that Fiero was actually Prince Fiero. And Prince Fiero is now going to be attending Shiz University. Even Galinda, of all people, is like, I have to seduce this man. I need this man, biblically. So everyone walks down to the courtyard to meet him. Snail trails all around the school.
I literally almost just crashed my car because I was squirting so hard.
And everyone's like, wow, that is one fine man. But no one takes a bite at him until Galinda shows up. And Galinda's like, hey, I heard you're new here. Why don't I just give you a tour of the campus? And he's like, yes, Yes, you should. So they start off by going to the library. And once in the library, Fiyero catches a glimpse over at Elphaba. And Elphaba's like, I'm too shy. Don't look at me. By the way, I'm a lesbian and I'm in love with Galinda. She doesn't actually say that, but she looks away in a way that I'm like, that's a lesbian. Fiero's a little bit disheartened by this, but nonetheless, Fiyero decides he's going to sing. And he sings his heart out. He sings Dancing Through Life. And a lot of people actually don't know this about Johnathan Bailey, but when he sang that song, it cured a lot of sexually frustrated people. I think a lot of us need to say thank you. Come on. Everybody, you can say thank you, okay? Yeah, thank you, Johnathan Bailey. We all needed that. And though the song is mostly just vibes, we do get some important details out of it, such as his desire to be without a brain and his desire to never actually have to think, which is very similar to someone who actually doesn't have a brain in the very near future of the Oz world. He then starts planning a girls' night out at the Ozdust Ballroom, which is basically like Studio 53 or like the Beauty and the Beat music video set. And then Bog decides to ask Galinda out to the Ozdust Ballroom, which Galinda's like, yeah, I would love to go with you. But, you know, I would like you even more as if you asked that girl over there in the chair to go to the Ozdust Ballroom with you. That would make my heart go pitta-patta, pitta-patta. And he's like, yes, I'm going to do that because I like you so much, Galinda. So he does it. And I'm like, whoa, Galinda, you are a male manipulator at your core. You're worse than the male manipulators who listen to Claro. You're scary. And then Fiyero approaches Galinda and then invites her to the Ozdust Ballroom. Cut to Nessa eventually telling Elphaba that Galinda has set her up with Bach. And Elphaba's like, no, I'm a little bit suspicious of that. Galinda's quite evil. I'm gonna yuck your yum for a second. And Nessa's like, no, you don't get to. Shut the up. And granted, this is one of the less evil things that Nessa Rose has done to Elphaba. But to be fair, if I was Elphaba, I would be so pissed. Cut to Galinda getting into her Hunger Games catching fire dress for the Ozdust Ballroom with her two besties, and one of them is Bowen Yang. And I just have to address this right now. Bowen Yang's character is named Fanny. Who the fuck named him Fanny? You filmed this in London. They were clearly like, what if we name someone Fanny? That would be the funniest thing ever. Bowen, I think you should sue the company that made Wicked, because who the fuck named you Fanny? Anyways, I'm pointing attention to Bowen because he picks out a black hat from Galinda's dresser and is like, what is this? And Galinda's like, well, my grandmother, she makes hats for me, and sometimes they're so ugly, and I just don't hate anyone enough to give it away. And Bowen Yang's like, you do hate someone that much. You hate your lesbian situationship roommate right now. Give it to her. And she's like, oh, nice thinking. Elphaba then enters the room, and Galinda's like, wait, you should come to the Ozdust Ballroom. And on top of that, I'm going to give you this hat, and we're going to key out in the Ozdust. And Elphaba's like, all right. Galinda's being nice to everyone. I see. Maybe I misjudged her. And because of this change of heart from Galinda, Elphaba decides to go to Madame Morrible's office and is like, hey, can I ask a favor of you, Madame Morrible? And then we cut. We cut to the rest of Shiz actually getting ready to go to the Ozdust Ballroom. But while in the Ozdust Ballroom, Bach eventually tries to confess his non-feelings for Nessa. But in the middle of that, Nessa kind of backs him up into a corner and is like, it's because I'm in this chair, right? It's because I can't move my legs. It's because I'm paralyzed, right? And Bach is like, oh, no, it's because you're beautiful, actually. You're beautiful. I like you so much. Bitch, can you not stand on fucking business, Bach, and just break up with her? Give her the mercy kill. Like, are you joking? Are you Jari King-sa? You piss me off, and I'm gonna grab that wig off your head. Anyways, Madame Morrible decides to show up at the Ozdust Ballroom because she's ready to queen out with the girls, and she finds Galinda and is like, hey girl, I am going to give you this magic wand, and you are going to be starting my magic classes with Elphaba because Elphaba just forced me to let you in. I don't think you're that talented. You're a flop. All you have is beautiful dresses, beautiful gowns. You better surprise me because I don't want to teach you. So Galinda starts feeling guilty, but not guilty enough for her to stop Elphaba when she walks into the Ozdust Ballroom. So when Elphaba actually enters the Ozdust Ballroom, she walks through and actually parts the crowd like Jesus parting the Red Sea. It is quite evil what those people are doing to her. Anyways, they eventually start forming like a weird dance circle around her as if they're going to start beating her alive. But then she starts dancing and everyone's like, okay, she's still flopping and it's stupid and she's weird. Even Nessa, her sister, sits at the sidelines and is like, are you joking, Nessa? Your sister's being publicly humiliated and you're gonna stand there like that? And then on top of that, Galinda's standing there like, wow, I feel so guilty. Oh no, I got what I wanted, but at what cost? Galinda, you knew what you signed up for. You knew you were being a and because of this guilt, Galinda starts dancing with Elphaba. And honestly, it's a really cute scene. But if you take yourself out of the movie magic of it all, you're literally like, oh, they're just dancing in complete silence in the middle of a dance battle scene. What is going on? And on top of that, it feels like an empty Fortnite lobby where they're literally just emoting in silence. It's a little bit awkward. But the students of Shiz eat the up because they're like, wow, Elphaba just got the baddie endorsement from Galinda. Elphaba is a top 5 baddie of Shiz. Love her. She's a vibe. And then Galinda and Elphaba hold hands as they run out of the Ozdust Ballroom. Gay. Cut to the post-party girls' night cabinet meeting where Elphaba and Galinda are telling stories about their past, and Elphaba decides to drop a nuclear bomb of a story. Yeah, my father hates me because he blames me for the death of my mother and the paralysis of my younger sister. Okay, cool, Elphaba. But then we find out that it's basically not even her fault at all, and Elphaba is kind of being overdramatic with it because what happened was basically Elphaba's father was giving his wife extra milk flowers because he didn't want his next daughter to be green like Elphaba, and those milk flowers led to a sped up pregnancy, which then made a early childbirth for Nessa. So the mother died in childbirth, and Nessa didn't have developed enough legs. So, it's not your fault at all, Elphaba. And even Galinda is on her side. Galinda's like, what? What? And after that absolute nuke of a story from Elphaba, we get to hear the song Popular, which is the second gayest song on the entire soundtrack. So, let's celebrate that. Yeah! Along with the entire gayness of this song, we get to see Galinda try and use her magical powers with her wand to try and turn Elphaba's dress into a nice dress. And it obviously does not work. So, because we know that Galinda doesn't know how to use magic, I'm thinking that little bubble at the beginning of the movie was not her magic at all. Especially because we heard a little pedal when she actually activated the bubble. Girl, I'm starting to think she's working with Elon Musk. I'm starting to think that bubble was sponsored by Tesla. We then cut to Elphaba trying to do the little toss that Galinda does right outside the history class. And Fiyero shows up and is like, you've been Galinda-fied. And Elphaba's like, right. Which is like, okay. I'm starting to turn around on maybe the idea that this could become a challengers thing instead of just a lesbian couple. But I'm still not fully comfortable with that idea yet, Fiyero. So maybe back off a little bit. And once in the class, the goat eventually announces that this is his last day for teaching at Shiz University, which is like, oh, okay. Damn, so no more animal professors anymore. And then he gets arrested. He gets arrested. There's PETA. Animal racism runs rampant in Oz. What the is happening? And without a beat, the school replaces him with a new professor who brings in a little lion inside of a cage, explaining that animals should be kept in cages and that they're safer that way, and humans are also safer that way. Sir, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Also, too soon, dude, because literally the other professor just got arrested and they all liked him. And this pisses off Elphaba so much that she actually activates her magic and roofies the entire class with the flowers sitting on everyone's desk, which is, all right. That's an interesting use of magic, girl. But this magic doesn't work on everyone. It actually doesn't work on Fiyero. So Fiyero and Elphaba decide to pick up the lion, take it out of its cage, because I guess they're going to do what every 11-year-old does and buy a beta fish from Petco and like release it into the ocean. Because what are you planning on doing? Are you going to release the lion in the woods? It's going to die. Cut to Madame Morrible actually entering the classroom, and she sees that everyone's been roofied and that Elphaba and Fiyero haven't escaped. So we're all a bit like, okay, what does she think? Let me ask the audience. Madame Morrible, what do you have to say? Well, she eventually goes back to her room and she writes to the wizard. But we don't know what she writes to the wizard about because we don't know if she's actually like, damn, she's really got magical power, or if she's like, damn, this girl really hates the fact that the animals are losing their rights. So we really don't know where she stands with Elphaba right now. Cut back to Elphaba and Fiyero in the middle of the woods, and they're showing early onset signs of a disease called romantic feelings. It's a bit weird what's going on, but it's clear that they both have some feelings toward each other, but they don't want to admit it. So Fiyero decides he's going to do what any man does, and he pulls a Paul Mescal and runs away from her with the lion. So he's not actually going to be releasing the lion in the middle of the woods, he's just going to be taking it away to a safer space. And this is where we start to hear I'm Not That Girl. This song, pretty good. It's not one of my favorites. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't really like it in the original Wicked, but I do think Cynthia does a better job at singing it. But I still was just like, the magic's not there for me. Sorry. And the song I'm Not That Girl is basically just Elphaba being like, I wish I could be Galinda because I want you to love me, Fiyero. And I hate that I'm not what you want. Which is kind of dumb because I'm like, Elphaba, you know that Fiyero wants you. Like, you do know that, right? Like, the vibes are there. But the next day, and Madame Morrible calls Elphaba down to the docks of Shiz. So Elphaba goes there, and she sees this weird little blimp with this mouse flying down, and it gives Elphaba an invitation to the Emerald City. More specifically, the Wizard's Palace. So Elphaba is now getting to see the wizard, and everyone is excited. Everyone is excited. And along with that, it starts looking like it's going to rain. But then Madame Morrible proves that she finally has magic and clears the sky because she's got weather magic, I guess. Like, good for you, meteorologist Madame Morrible. But in that moment, she does make the offhanded comment, wouldn't want you to melt in the rain, which is like, is this where that rumor of her melting because of water comes from? Cut to Elphaba and the entire student body getting ready to wish her a good trip to the Emerald City on a bullet train. I have two things to say. Number one, the train conductor looks like a mutation of the Onceler and the Lorax. Number two, if there was always a bullet train, why the Galinda forced Dorothy to walk down the Yellow Brick Road? If we have high-speed public transit, why are we walking? Also, I just found out that that train was practical. Like, it's not CGI at all. Like, that's a real ass train. The production design is insane. While waiting to get on the train, Galinda tells Elphaba that Fiyero has been thinking a lot lately. Thinking a lot specifically about the night that the goat got arrested. So we're all like, all right, we do remember that night. There was a little bit of a romantic tension right there. But Galinda doesn't know that. So Galinda's like, damn, I just didn't know he cared that much about animals, let alone that goat. And then Fiyero shows up, and Fiyero is giving Elphaba the eyes. He is giving Elphaba the eyes, and Galinda's like, oh, yeah, you guys really are affected by this goat. So Galinda starts feeling the spotlight drift away from her. So she's like, all right, I am actually going to change my name. I'm going to change my name. Everybody listen up. I'm changing my name from Galinda to Glinda because the goat could never pronounce my name correctly, and I feel like I just need to give it to him. My name is Glinda. Thank you. And the entire student body goes crazy. Everyone's like, oh my God, like this is a big thing. But you know who goes craziest? Bach. And Nessa catches it finally. Nessa's like, the f*** are you looking at that girl for? Which is like, okay, finally Nessa thinks for herself. But also, this couple is so disastrous. Like, you guys are such a bad couple. You would be the couple that goes into a gas station and starts arguing and then you propose afterwards. Like, you would make it everyone's business to know that you're each other, and it's honestly diabolical. You need to go to prison, Bach. Finally, Elphaba gets on the train, and she invites Galinda to get on the train with her to the Emerald City because she's like, I want my girl to key out with, and I don't want to be alone, which is cute. Girls trip. Also, the train that they get on is giving very much Hunger Games Catching Fire train to the capital.
That is mahogany.
It's a little bit strange. It's a little bit beautiful. I wish I was on that train. And once in the Emerald City, the girls are greeted with the song One Short Day, which is so good. And once they get into the city, they get a free show from the wickedly talented Adele Dazeem and Kristen Chenoweth, the OG Broadway stars of Wicked. They're doing their show, and the show is about the origins of Oz, specifically how they got the magic. The magic was actually brought to them through this book named The Grimoire, which no one can read anymore except from one specific person. There's a prophecy that says whoever can read this book will end up saving Oz forever, which is a oddly positive thing, but also I have a feeling we might already know who's going to read the book. And now we start getting into some scary territory with the costume design, because now we're seeing these little weird Peabody costumes that are looking a little bit too adjacent to the Willy Wonka Johnny Depp movies. In those movies, they're sinister. Finally, the girls end up walking to the Wizard's Palace, and I recognize that they are meant to be in love with Fiyero. But I cannot help to feel that this is meant to be a throuple, because why are they cradling each other's arms in that way? Why are they calling each other just two friends, just two best friends? Girl, are you joking? There's something deeper. There's something fruity about that. I just have to say it. Like,
there's a little piece of you that knows that all of this is a little fake and gay.
And once in the palace, they're greeted with these monkeys who don't speak. So we're all like, oh, maybe he's not a fan of the animals, because this is giving a little bit weird. But Elphaba and Galinda decide to move on, and for some reason don't detect the weirdness of it. All right, be oblivious, I guess. And so they eventually walk into the wizard's chambers. And once in the wizard's chambers, I just have to pause this, because the production design, this chamber is so beautiful. And then there's this massive golden Iron Man robot face that is, it's just so well crafted. What studio would have been like, yes, I want to spend my money on this? That is crazy. Anyways, once they're in the room, this golden robot thing starts speaking to them, and they're like, what is your name? And Elphaba's like, well, my name is Elphaba. And then it stops, it shuts down, and then out comes Jeff Goldblum. So we're like, okay, weird. And Jeff Goldblum is this like weird, silly old man. Like, he's not scary at all. He's basically just playing himself, which is like charming, because I mean, he's just not a young man actually, he's 70, which is crazy. And then he does what any old man would do: show girls his miniatures. And I'm not talking about his miniature wee-wee, I'm talking about his miniature of Oz. The miniature of Oz is basically just a maquette of all of the cities and towns in the land of Oz. And he's like, hey guys, I have this road thing that I'm building, but I don't know what color to make it. what color do you think? Like yellow, green, blue. And they're like yellow, which means they basically just painted the yellow brick road, which I'm like, word. It's cute, but for some reason my heart didn't skip. I was like, all right, we're painting the yellow brick road, get on with the plot. And finally, Elphaba does what she set out to do. And she tells the wizard, I need you to help the animals. The animals are losing their rights, and they're losing the right to speak. Can you please help me? And he's like, that's crazy. It's kind of like, I knew you were going to say that. It's kind of like I knew you already, which is like, you do know her. Like, you're literally her father. You donated jizz to the belly of Miss Mariah Reynolds. That's crazy, actually. Why the did I say that? Oh my god. Also, I hate to throw dirt at this man, but his performance of Sentimental Man kind of pissed me off because I was like, why couldn't we get a singer? Why couldn't we get a singer? Because the auto-tune on that song fucking crazy. It sounds like I'm listening to a Charlie XCX performance, but in a musical. And in that context, it's not allowed. If I was at a club, maybe I would let it permit. But truth be told, I don't want to hear Jeff Goldblum sing Sentimental Man. Maybe I'm a hater. Maybe I'm a bitter bitch. But other than that, he did a good job. And then guess what baddie decides to show up? Madame Morrible. Yeah, Madame Morrible shows up, and then she has the nerve to get pissed at Galinda because she's like, Galinda, you were not invited. Why are you here? And I'm like, okay, first of all, you're uninvited. Let her be uninvited, and she can still come. They then unveil the grimoire, and they use reverse psychology to get Elphaba to start reading it. They're like, I just don't know, like, you might not even be able to read it, Elphaba, like, I really hope you could. And Elphaba's like, girl, just let me read it. Like, let me read the book. So she opens up the book, and in the middle of opening it, the wizard's like, hey, that monkey over there, he always wanted to learn how to fly. He always wanted to fly. And the book hears that, and the book is like, okay, I'll flip to a page for you. So it flips over to a page with a bunch of wings on it, and we're like, okay, we're doing a flying spell. This is going to be fun. This is going to be fun. So Elphaba starts reading it, and tell me why those words start sounding like some Gen Alpha brain rot material. And everyone's also gagged by this because everyone's like, no one's ever been able to read this book like word for word. Even Madame Morrible can only read 2 words. And in the middle of reading this spell, the monkey starts transforming, like full on puberty 2 vibes. Like he's freaking out. He's not happy about it. And then all of a sudden, he starts flying. This man can fly. He's got wings, and it's not cute wings, it's scary wings. And Elphaba turns around and is like, oh my god, I just did that. Can we reverse the spell? Can I get a refund? I didn't get to read the terms and conditions. And Madame Morrible is like, oh, sorry, actually, you don't get refunds on spells from the grimoire. Girl, could you not have explained that before she cast a spell to mutate a monkey? What? And then we start hearing noises from the hall, and we find out, oh, it wasn't just that monkey that got puberty 2'd. It was every monkey in the land of Oz.
What in the name of the squish?
All because they forced Elphaba to read this stupid brain rot book. Are we joking? And then the wizard drops the most weak ass reveal, saying they're gonna make perfect spies. What was that reveal, sir? And finally, Elphaba has one neuron spark in her brain, and she's like, oh, the wizard doesn't care about animals. He doesn't give a f***. In fact, he actually started this revolution against the animals, and on top of that, he has no real power. He has no magic, because this man can't read a lick from the grimoire. Elphaba, I'm sorry, and I hate to say this, but the writing was on the walls. You literally walked in that hall and you saw monkeys galore. None of them speaking. And if I saw a full hall of monkeys not speaking in the land of Oz, I'd be like, wow, he really does believe animals should be seen, not heard. Girl, how did you not see that? Elphaba then makes her escape, and Madame Morrible forces Galinda and the army of monkeys to chase after her. Eventually, Galinda catches up with Elphaba, and then they do this weird chase through this tower, and they go up a hot air balloon, and they finally get into another tower, and then they lock that tower door with a broom. And then Galinda drops the line,
I hope you're happy. I hope you're happy now.
yes, we're holding space for Defying Gravity. And while the girls are defying gravity, Madame Morrible decides to go full Radio Rebel mode and tells the entire land of Oz that Elphaba has mutilated and horribly mutated all of the monkeys in Oz, and along with that, she is a wicked witch. And to escape from the tower that she's trapped in, Elphaba decides that she's going to cast the same spell that she cast on the monkeys, hoping that she'll grow wings so she can fly away. But when she casts it, it doesn't actually work. In fact, it only works on the broom that they have locked the door with. So the broom flies off the handle and then flies over to Elphaba.
Hi, Sick Nation.
So Elphaba is now embracing the witchy stereotypes, and now she is fully the Wicked Witch of the West. And the guards eventually break down the door to the tower, and Elphaba tells Galinda, hey, we can be gay in the countryside. We can U-Haul all the way to the countryside of Oz. And Galinda's like, well, yes. Well, actually, no. I actually cannot go to the countryside with you because all of my power is social power. So if I go out there, I lose everything. So Galinda politely declines, but gives Elphaba her endorsement by getting this stupid black coat out of the tower and hanging it around her neck, which is like, I like the thought, Galinda. I think it's cute. I think it's cute that you're embracing your goth baddie situationship, but at the same time, that's like me re-gifting something. And eventually the guards start climbing up the steps and Elphaba jumps off the tower with a broom, but she realizes, oh wait, I've never flown before, so therefore, how the am I gonna know how to fly this broom? So she's falling to her death from this big emerald tower until she sees the reflection of herself in the window, and she's like, wow, I've come too far to flop. I cannot let my younger self see me flop. I have to fly. So she reaches out, grabs the broom, starts flying back up, and starts performing the rest of Defying Gravity. She destroys this song. It is so good. I was sitting there like, wow, this is my Super Bowl. But I will say, as cinematic and as movie as it got, it does not compete with Shrek 4 because Shrek 4 had this exact scene. So Elphaba, know your roots. And then we cut to Nessa, Fiera, and Galinda's reactions to Elphaba's defiance of the wizard, and no one's happy. No one is happy at all about this. It's all around pretty sad, and Galinda even decides to hug Madame Morrible. Everyone is down bad, but you know who isn't having a bad day? Elphaba. She is zooming off into the countryside, so happy with her stupid little millennial smirk. And on top of that, this last shot is so f***ing goofy. I swear to God, this shot looks like a skydiver who has a 0.5 lens of a GoPro strapped to his forehead going 80 miles an hour. It is... And that is the end of Wicked. Part 1. Thank you so much for watching this recap. I loved making this recap. It was super hard because it is 2 hours and 40 minutes, and I wanted to make sure I was catching all the little details because I know some people are huge fans of the musical and also huge fans of the movie, so this was going to be hard either way. The movie's fun. It's goofy at parts, but like overall, it is a solid movie. And I think musical movies are back, and thank you so much for watching this recap. I will be posting probably in 2 weeks. Bye.